This conference will now be recorded.
Hello and welcome to the Solar Decathlon 2020 Design Challenge webinar on Prepare Your Project Progress Report. Today we have a couple of presenters for you and we'll be introducing them along the way. On our agenda today, Holly Carr will give us a quick welcome to the 2020 Design Challenge. Zachary Peterson, our Assistant Competition Manager, will be giving some overview and logistics. And then we're very fortunate today to have Marcus Bianchi share with us some juror experience so that you can learn a little bit about what it is, what you'll be working towards in this competition. Finally, I'll conclude with information about your project progress report specifically, and we'll look forward to these presentations. So with that, I introduce Holly Carr, Acting Solar Decathlon Director. Holly?
Thanks, Rachel. Hello, everybody, and congratulations. You jumped a big hurdle in getting your registrations in, and I'm sure some of you have already gotten started on your projects. We are very, very excited to work with you for the 2020 Design Challenge. You can see here on this map that we have great participation across the country, East Coast, West Coast, and all across the middle. And if we can move to the next slide, you'll see that we also have great participation internationally on almost all continents. Lots of international teams joining us again this year, which always adds a lot of richness to this competition. I believe we have 82 teams participating from over 50 universities in this year's Design Challenge. So a great lineup. Let's jump to the next slide, please. So I want to make all of you aware of a wonderful opportunity that we have this year. As you may know, we have a pilot program that we are running for the 2020 Design Challenge called Design Partners. We have 5 pilot projects, construction projects with actual building owners, real buildings that are going to be built out in the world. These building owners have requested to partner with a Design Challenge team and to work with these teams individually to develop a zero energy design for their building construction project that is in the works. So 4 of those 5 design partner projects have already been matched up with Solar Decathlon Design Challenge teams. We have 1 remaining opportunity, which is actually an opportunity with a lot of potential impact. This is with Habitat for Humanity International. And the international program is looking to work with a single Design Challenge team to develop a zero energy alternative for one of their prototype homes that they use in a particular climate zone. And so there is the possibility that the home that this Solar Decathlon Design Challenge team develops could be constructed all over the country, all over the world in the associated climate zone. You can read details about this particular project on our Design Partners website by just Googling Solar Decathlon Design Partners. It'll come right up. And if you are interested in working on this project, you can contact Molly Berg or Edwin Hensley directly. Their emails and names are at the bottom of this slide. And let's jump to the next slide, please.
Thank you, Holly. So this is Zach Peterson here, and I will talk a little bit about the challenge itself and give you an overview. So, as always, we want to start with the Design Challenge rules. Hopefully everyone is super familiar with these at this point in time. If you're not, before you get started, make sure you review the rules found on the Solar Decathlon website. They provide really important information such as the dates for submissions and deliverables, requirements for each of the divisions, and details about each of the contest categories. Also included on the Solo Decathlon website is the Solo Decathlon Guide, which provides a broader overview of the Solo Decathlon itself. So next, let's look at the timeline for the design challenge. At this point in time, hopefully your team has submitted a project introduction. Those have been reviewed and look forward to feedback. The next deliverable is a project progress report due on February 18th, 2020. All teams are required to submit a project progress report. And based on that deliverable, up to 48 finalist teams, 8 in each of the 6 divisions, are selected and invited to compete further with final project report and presentation of their design at Design Challenge Weekend, held annually in April at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, main campus in Golden, Colorado. Teams that complete the project report but are not selected to participate as a finalist team at the Design Challenge Weekend are still invited to send one attendee to the competition to present a poster if they complete their project report. So everyone should plan on completing this project report, which is due March 31st, 2020 as well. So if you are not already aware, this year's a new interaction that the organizers have with the teams is this all teams call. So these calls are intended to provide valuable information and updates. They're also supposed to be a venue for teams to ask questions to the organizers if things are unclear or if they have feedback. And attendance is highly encouraged by at least one member, whether that's a student or faculty member of each participating team, to hear the updates that we have for everyone. And we will record these and post these on the project site under the quick link. So check those calls out if you weren't able to attend them earlier. So on the left here, you can see an agenda of what the calls usually contain. Our next call is January 22nd, so please keep your eyes out for that, and we look forward to interacting with you there. As always, feel free to send questions in advance that we can answer on the call, or come ready to ask questions on the call. And we always love feedback, so if you have feedback on things that are going well or not going well, those would be great times to follow up as well. So let's talk about Design Challenge Weekend. So the Design Challenge culminates with a competition event in April. As I said, 48 teams will be invited to compete in person, and information is provided to teams now about the competition event for planning purposes. The event provides a rich experience for on-site participants through networking opportunities and attending other team professional presentations, and the organizers expect at least 1 and up to 5 students total from each team to attend in person, as well as 1 faculty advisor. We encourage all students who are on-site to participate in the team presentation. However, the faculty may not participate in the team presentation. The organizers, unfortunately, do not provide financial assistance for lodging or travel expenses, but a block of rooms at a hotel near the NREL campus will be available at a discounted rate. Note that meals and snacks are provided at no cost over the weekend through support from our generous sponsor donations. The poster session encourages collaboration across the contest and an opportunity to see all teams in one location during the competition. So what happens on Design Challenge Weekend? On Friday, the Design Challenge Weekend will gather all of the students for a kickoff. On Saturday, the students will present their designs to the jurors, who will choose the top teams in each division and provide valuable feedback to all. On Sunday morning, winners from each division are awarded trophies. The 6 first-place division winners will then present to a grand jury, who will choose 2 grand winners, 1 for the residential category and 2 for the commercial category, following an 8-minute overview presentation at the awards banquet. Ultimately, the 2 Design Challenge grand winners will be selected, 1 for both of the commercial and residential categories. And we will talk more about the Design Challenge Weekend as we get closer to the event. Great, so now let's move on to some competition logistics. If you, hopefully all teams are very familiar with the project site at this time. As you should know by this point in time, it's used to assemble a team. You'll also be using this throughout the competition to submit deliverables. This is how we are updating you with resources, and sending out updates as well. So make sure you're familiar with the quick links, the resources under the quick links. We'll be updating these throughout the competition, so make sure to check in with those over time to time. The site is very helpful because it lets you know when you've submitted your deliverables. It gives you a timeline of when these deliverables are due. And you can see on this left image here, this red box, it tells me that I've submitted the deliverable and it's been received. So please keep in mind as you are creating your submissions that you can submit a deliverable, but the site doesn't close until the deadline. So you can update that submission by uploading a new file. So feel free to even test this out and make sure that you are able to submit a deliverable in time for the deadline by doing it ahead of time, because you can always update your entry. On the right here, it's just a sneak peek at the project progress report entry form. Make sure you're filling out all of the fields provided and, again, submitting before the project deadline. So team messages. These are going out through the project site as well. So only people who are registered on the project site on an active team will receive these team messages. The team messages are sent to all team members that are registered to the team. So everyone should be receiving these messages. And these will contain competition updates, information about new resources, or if we update resources, and other upcoming events. We're trying not to flood your inbox. We're aiming for about one message a week, and this, of course, might increase in frequency as the Design Challenge weekend moves closer and we have more important updates and things to let you know about. Educational resources. Please make sure you're taking advantage of all the awesome educational resources we have for you. In particular, the building science training. Check out the required modules as well as the webinars we have on there that are optional. And please make sure your team members all register for this for the project site, which will get you access to building science training by February 5th, 2020. This will allow us to update the building science training website so you all have access and you can complete the training by February 18th when the project progress report is due. In addition, we have building modeling assistance, we have RS means for financial analysis assistance, and we've posted the past winning presentations and designs for the winners of 2019 Design Challenge as well. More on the required building science training here. All students must watch the building science training videos and complete this training. The training is available online on demand and covers the principles of high performance buildings as taught by renowned industry leaders. Upon completion of the videos, students will be prompted to answer a few comprehensive questions, and upon completion of the entire set of videos, a certificate will be provided to show completion. Alternatively, the building science requirement may be waived by the team's faculty lead with confirmation of equivalency for courses that the student has successfully completed as indicated on the project site. So as I mentioned, teams are expected to complete a financial analysis and provide explanations for the financial numbers entered into the project. So thanks to Gordian's sponsorship, students have the opportunity to use the RS Means costing database at no cost. Each solo decathlon team is allocated one license, which is tied to a single email address. So please review the software document under the quick links for how to get access to that. A complete financial analysis is not required until the Design Challenge project report. So it's not required until the project report following the project progress report. Recently added, TRANE Trace 3D Plus has been added to the software document under the quick link. So this is a program, a building design analysis software program built off of Energy Plus, and Ingersoll Rand and TRANE have been offering, will offer limited number of seats for each team to use this modeling software. So check it out, it's pretty cool. And with that, we will pass it over to Marcus Bianchi Marcus Bianchi is a senior research engineer with the Building Energy Science Group. He's a thermal energy expert and conducts research in modeling, analysis, and testing of advanced building envelope components and systems to improve the energy performance of buildings. Marcus returned to NREL in 2019 after 8 years at Owens Corning, where he led the building science team. He's active at ASHRAE, where he was the chair of Technical Committee 4.4, Building Materials and Building Envelope Performance. He holds a PhD in mechanical engineering from Purdue University and is a licensed professional engineer in Colorado. Marcus, please take it away.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, I've been a juror of the Solar Decathlon Design Challenge for a few years, and I just came back to NREL, which unfortunately I can no longer be a juror, which is kind of sad for me. I suspect some of the folks with like many questions that I end up asking may actually be quite happy, but I really enjoyed that. Jokes aside, have a wonderful experience. It was one of the highlights of my year. Could you go to the next slide, Zach, please? Excellent. I'm just going to give a very quick overview. It's only like a short time, but what are sustainable buildings? What do we see it? What are the different scales that we look at? The process of getting into energy efficiency, which is really the core of what this competition is. We're trying to deliver buildings that are energy efficient, but we have to think about all the other aspects of sustainable buildings too. And then some thoughts of my own experience, what I observe over the years, what kind of different projects that students have been successful, getting, very, very high scores and so on. Next, please. Okay, so sustainable buildings, the way we look at it, and, you may hear different definitions, is that they are durable, comfortable, healthy, safe, and energy efficient. The durability issue, we usually put it at first because all the other ones don't matter anymore if the buildings don't have durability. It's one of the aspects that we look at the competition many times if the students have addressed some issues about extra insulation, vapor drive, and so on. On the right side, we look at what kind of controls the different flows, how they are controlled, and which ones that we really care about. Certainly, heat is pretty critical, but water, air, vapor, and heat all together are important because they affect durability, comfort, health, safety, and energy efficiency. Could you go to the next one, please? We look at that at NREL and at different research institutions in different levels. We look from the materials standpoint many times, going through the component side. So like maybe a wall, a window, an air conditioning system, then all of that working together in a building per se, and then how different buildings interact between each other and with the grid that may be a part of it. So we look at all of those different levels. Next. The process that we go through to actually address energy efficiency, the first thing is to reduce loads, either by change envelope and change orientation. We think about the lighting design, that we reduce plug loads. And then when the loads are reduced to the point that it's satisfactory, then we start talking about getting the matching those loads with the equipment that actually will deliver that. We make sure that the building works per se. In many cases, obviously in the design challenge, we don't actually build the building, but we have to consider how it's going to work together. And we do a continuous evaluation as we go and then simplify as much as we can. And then we talk about generation in the end. So the process usually we try to bring, let's say if it is a residential building, we try to bring the HERS rating so low that the very last part of it can be delivered by a local generation. Next. And then I just wanted to share some of my thoughts during this process. I already told you that, but it's never enough. Serving was one of my highlights of the year, the many years that I served. It was a wonderful process. You get out of it after like two to 3 days interacting with the students, very energized by their enthusiasm, by their difficulties, the kind of questions they ask, the kind of ways they answer the questions, the creativity, and so on. One of the things that I observed over the years was that the most successful proposals and submissions usually had a balance, rely on the very balanced jury that we have. We have architects, we have builders, we have engineers, we have researchers. So it's a mix. And, it's interesting how observing a number of those projects, we have to discuss quite a bit to pick a winner because they're always very good. And there are like here and there like differences that maybe like one is stronger on the architecture, another one may be stronger on the building science, and so on and so forth. We have seen in the past, and that's why I put the third bullet there, that projects that did not reach the energy efficiency goals, make sure that the projects actually do that. Projects should consider every aspect of sustainable buildings. And if there are like potential issues, they should at least address them, properly on durability, comfort, safety, health, and energy efficiency. One of the things that is very hard is that we receive a lot of like documents over, to judge. Highlighting every aspect of the score really helps the jurors to go through and actually see, okay, they have a cost, they have the energy efficiency clearly, and so on and so forth. And the very last bullet is more like to keep it simple. We've seen very innovative materials being used, very innovative schemes being used, but they have not been tested. Sometimes it's easier just to replace that with a very simple one. Maybe on the other side this year, but I'm looking forward to participating somehow now back as an NREL employee and the organization of that. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you for your insight, Marcus. We appreciate it. All right. So with that, we're going to talk about the project progress report in detail. So at this point in the competition, if you chose to submit a project introduction, that's complete, and we're at the project progress report. We hope that all of you are planning to complete all of the project submissions in the design challenge. Please note that when your team is looking at any 2019 documents from past winners, that sometimes the project submissions have changed, so please follow the instructions in the rules over past submissions. All right, so in terms of dates, Zach kind of went over this a little bit, but February 18th is when your project progress reports are due. The deadline is 5 p.m. Eastern time, and as always, the organizers recommend that you submit several hours, if not a day, early to ensure that your submission is received. Also, by this time, you'll need to complete the building science training or equivalent, have your equivalent coursework signed off on. And then the organizers will review project progress reports and select 48 finalist teams, at which point registration for Design Challenge Weekend will open. So then teams will continue working toward their project report, which is due March 31st, for jurors to start reviewing, such as Marcus in previous years. And then Design Challenge Weekend registration will close at that time as well. All right, so some feedback to incorporate from the project introductions that you will need to look at for your project progress report. So first, please ensure that you have a document incorporated into your submission that is a standalone project summary. There's a 2-page template provided, and we'll look at that a little bit more here in a minute. But you can find that template and the example in the quick links on the project site, as Zach mentioned earlier. Make sure you use the full submission page limit. This becomes very important in the project progress report, but make sure you fill out all 10 pages for the project progress report to maximize the information you're giving to the organizers to review you on. We want to see informative images and relevant information, so fill the pages with that. Please submit a bookmarked PDF. For a 5-page submission for the project introduction, that's not as important, but as we progress to longer and longer documents, a bookmarked PDF helps the organizers and the jurors do a careful review and easily find information if they're looking for something. We do have instructions on that on the project site. Next, please make sure that you have reviewed your division definition. Please go back to the rules and look at that to make sure you're meeting the criteria within that. A lot of the project introductions reviewed did not meet the definition of the division, and we put those in place so that our jurors can consistently review projects across the board. All right, next, please review each of the contests before you submit your project progress report. Did you look at energy performance? Did you look at resilience? Each of those contests is important, and your jurors are going to be evaluating your team on the contest. So make sure that you are very familiar with the content there, because that's what the jurors will be evaluating your team on and your project report on come Design Challenge weekend. And then we love to hear about your industry partners and others, and your team should use these use your industry partners as an opportunity to have your submission reviewed. When we here at NREL write scientific reports, we have them reviewed by a peer, we have them reviewed by our management and communications. So try to replicate a similar process within your work, and you'll find that it's very valuable to get that feedback. Okay, new this year, we have check boxes on the submission form. By checking these boxes, your team certifies that these requirements are met. And we'll look at that on how that looks for the jurors, but when we see that, we're assuming you've completed that information. So please take a look at that. In the submission form, jurors use an image provided on the project site to identify teams. So if you can select an image that corresponds to your project or your team, that's really helpful for us. We love to hear about your faculty advisors and programs, so make sure to give them their due credit in your team information in your submission. And as Marcus said as well, typically the strongest teams are multidisciplinary and are composed of students from a variety of degree programs, including both architecture and engineering. So if your team is all architects, consider finding an engineering student to work with, an engineering industry partner, or someone to work with that can help your team in that area. All right, so as I said earlier, the project summary is an important document. You can see here it's 2 pages, and it includes your project, your team, your collegiate institution. It includes your key images, so pick 1 or 2 key images that represent your project. It includes project data, and we've outlined in the template data that we're looking for. This helps your jurors quickly review. It also helps the organizers ensure that your project is within the definition of your division. Any technical specifications, again, are quick points to pull out. And then we'd like you in the project highlights to address each contest. So how did you evaluate energy performance, etc. So here's an example of a project summary. We did this for the research support facility here at NREL, but you can see we stated what the project was, what division, we gave a summary of it, we talked about the design strategy, and we listed out each of the project data and technical specifications as requested. Then on the second page, we went through each of the contests and outlined how we, as a team, pseudo team, met the requirements of the contest. So take this as an example. You're welcome to put it in your own team's template and make it look your own, but we'd really like the content to be in there. All right, so on to the project progress report format requirements. You can review these all in the design challenge rules. Again, this is very similar from project submission to project submission. The biggest thing here is no more than 10 pages. Do note that the cover and the table of contents are not included in that count, but the organizers will stop reviewing your project progress report at the 10-page mark. Again, it's a single bookmarked PDF as well. So what's included in your project progress report? So please include a cover so we know what we're looking at and that we have the right collegiate institution, team, and division that you're in. Include a table of contents as the documents are getting longer. And then include up to 5 pages of your project introduction. We absolutely expect that your project introduction has new information in it, but you include, the project introduction is 2 pages of that project summary and 3 pages of additional content. Then you're going to go into 1 to 3 pages of your design constraints description. Tell us about your lot. Tell us about the size, shape, orientation, the climate you're in. This is where you go into detail about your design constraints. Because this program doesn't set the design constraints, we need to know about them and learn about them from you. Tell us about your intended occupants. Who are they? Why are they living there? We love to hear about people and the groups you're working with. Tell us about their neighborhood and their community setting. Often you have a great story to tell on this, and we love to hear that. And then talk about any codes and standards and programs that are influencing your design. And more than just listing them, how is that affecting your design? Are there local codes that are important to this? Local standards that you're using as well. And then continuing, 1 page on your design goals. So summarize the goals of the team in developing the design. Where are you going? And then tell us about your plans for completing the project submissions for the design challenge. So summarize any building systems that you anticipate in the design, and then provide a timeline of how your team is going to complete the project report and get to design challenge weekend. Teams that have a good plan for this tend to be very successful. All right, as we discussed earlier, we hope to see a bookmarked PDF for your project progress report submission. This is an example of one. You can see on the left, when you open the bookmarks tab, it shows project summary, design strategy, project data, technical specifications, and project highlights. That's just for this 2-page PDF. So organize them how it works for your team and your document, but we'd like to see some of those levels in your document so it can easily be navigated. We appreciate you using the following file naming. So the first two are the challenge type. You are in design challenge versus build challenge. The next is your division. That helps us confirm that you're in the right division and the right person is reviewing it. Your short collegiate institution name, which you can find on the project site. The file name, which is in the rules, followed by the submission date with the year first, the month, and then the day. So here's an example that you can see. So please follow that. You can find your collegiate short name list on the project site. Please note that this may be different than your traditional school short name. So if you're a dual university, it has both of the universities in the name. We just wanted to share this view for you so that you can see. This is an example of a project introduction that was submitted, and you can see that what the jurors see. So that logo, you can see how important that is to the jurors. It establishes a visual identity with your submission. You can see the school, and then all of those check boxes are checked, so you can see that they have met all the criteria. And then the jurors download your project introduction. So just wanted you to see what the jurors see so you can anticipate what that's going to look like. Okay, so for file submission for the project progress report, you will be submitting that again via the project site. You can save your submission and then update, including uploaded files as needed until the deadline. So we will begin reviewing at the deadline and not review documents prior to that. So if you want to, you can practice uploading a document to ensure that there are no difficulties, especially if you haven't done that for the project introduction. So when we receive your project progress reports, reviewers will evaluate it based on the criteria as published in the design challenge rules. First, we want to know if your team complied with the definition for your division. We want to ensure that you will produce a document and a design that is easy for your jurors to review. Did you meet Zero Energy Ready home requirements in the residential division? And did you include all the correct space types in the commercial division? Then, did your team submission comply with formatting requirements as said in the rules? During Design Challenge Weekend, our jurors need to fairly evaluate the teams, and when it's consistently presented from team to team, it ensures they can accurately and quickly make decisions. And then, did you do a comprehensive review of your target market and design strategy, constraints, and goals? So we'll be reviewing all of that content. Teams should complete a full 10 pages of information, so tell us how far you are in your design. We do review the quality of the design as well. And then, did your team look at the building science issues in the selected climate? So if you have a wet climate, how are you addressing that in your design? And then finally, the organizers review other factors such as geographic location and technology choices to help optimize program diversity and fairness. So that's what we'll be reviewing on for your project progress report. Based on that, we will select up to 8 teams per division to be invited to the final competition. We will email a letter to your team lead and faculty lead, and teams that are not selected but do complete the project report may send an attendee to Design Challenge Weekend. So please plan to complete your project report. Every team gets to send at least one person that completes the project report. All right, so we hope that you're working hard. Please take a minute to ensure that all your current team members are added on the project site and registered. So it's not just adding their email, it's adding their email, making sure they're activated on the site. And that ensures that they're receiving all the information they need. So with that, Thank you for your attention today. We hope that you can take the time to share your team's progress on your choice of social media. So we are using the hashtag Solar Decathlon and hashtag Solar Decathlon Design if you're posting, and we'd love to see your pictures and your team's work and the progress that you're making. We'd like to take a minute to thank our 2020 Design Challenge sponsors, in particular to Mitsubishi Electric and TRANE for their host sponsorship, as well as the rest of our wonderful education sponsors that are supporting Design Challenge weekends. So with that, good luck on your project progress report. The organizers cannot wait to see the progress that you're making and look forward to that submission. If you have any questions, feel free to always contact us at sddesign@nrel.gov with that question. Please include, if possible, your team and collegiate institution and the division you're working in. The more information you provide us, the better we can answer your questions. So, thank you so much and have a great day.